Hello there. I would like to propose a proposition. Yes. So I think as a world, like in the whole universe, we should normalize something along the lines of like individuals having their own slang. What I mean by that is like each individual person has their own slang that they made up through life. You know, like as children, we created these silly little new words, sometimes out of like not being able to speak right, or just creating new words because we think like of certain things. We can combine certain words, and I think we should continue to do that. And like, you know how our parents use those words when we're children normally because that's how we learn. A lot of people do. Like, I think everybody should use those. And that's like how you should get to know a person. So like they have their own slang, and you have to get to know their own slang to speak with the person, because or else it won't make sense, you know. And like between you and this person, your slang could even mix and match, even, and you can like each person will use their own slang, but each person will use each other's slang throughout two friends, and even this can go through like fandom spaces or communities for like celebrity and things. In communities for celebrities and people, you can use the celebrity slang as like in the community, and everybody will know what you're talking about. But outside of the community, you know, nobody will know what you're talking about. So it's kind of like a kind of inside joke, I guess. And like in fandom spaces, we can create new words for the piece of media that the fandom is about, or like use the people who are creating the media that the fandom is about, their slang. And even in friend groups, we can create new slang for friend groups. And like once you join the friend group or leave the friend group, you don't get to use the slang anymore, or you do get to use the slang now, and you can't use it outside of the friend group, or else it won't make sense. And this can be like, it can be such a great thing. And this whole conversation came up in my mind when I heard about the whole thing where white people are using AAVE wrong, and it's really pissing me off. And like I think this would fix so much of that. Like obviously it wouldn't completely fix it because people are racist, and that's stupid, but that should not be the norm. But it's like this in general should be a thing, because you know people already create their own words, but not enough. Like we use just the same basic language, and this comes up like with another issue that I think in the world. The world could be so creative, it could be so colorful, it could be so artistic, but we choose to not do it because of like being corny or cringe or something. But doing this could make the world so like colorful and things, having each individual person have their own different slang, that unless you know them personally really well, you can't know their slang, especially like the super deep ones that like describe them super deep. Maybe let's say they're like describing something that's really meaningful to them, so they use a certain slang to describe something. And you can't know that, obviously, until you're, like, really deep into friendship with this person. Or, like, you know this person really well from, like, if they're a celebrity. And I feel like that would just fix, like, that would just be so great. It would be so, like I said, make the world so colorful. And I think that, like, if we could just get over this, like, whole cringe, corny thing, it would be great. Like, what happened to, like, the 2000s, 2010s-esque, like, vibe of, like, do whatever you want, haters gonna hate, you know, like, there was, like, that around, like, 2010s, like, that was, like, what the 2010s was entirely about, is, like, just be yourself, haters gonna hate, like, I don't know any other way to describe what I'm saying, other than this would be so much better, like, the world would be so much better if we did something along these lines, of just creating more things that like each individual person can have to themselves, that like you have to get to know a person to know this. And that's why I propose slang, because not only are there issues with like people using certain words on things, but also like there's so many issues with people using certain words to wrongly to discriminate against certain groups of people, aka racism. And there's also like homophobia in there somewhere. And like I think just creating people's own like slang and normalizing that, so like whenever you come across maybe somebody's YouTube or TikTok, like you could be like, oh hey, this person, and you see a word you don't know, you could assume that it's their slang, and you go through their page, or eventually along, if you keep going with them, you could learn what that slang means, and that could be a kind of like I said, an inside joke for like a community or a friend group or something along those lines. and it can be like nobody else knows it. So like what it's so that can be so much like that can create a literal community. Right now we don't have much of communities inside of communities. We just have a space, you know, where people can be. It's kind of like a hangout space where nobody actually talks, but we're just all here. You know, we all like the same thing, but nobody actually interacts and talks. So, like, but with this slang or having words or kind of inside jokey things about certain communities or friend groups or things could make people so unified, and it could be so great. Like I said, even among two people, like if somebody was trying to be somebody's best friend, then they would have to get to know their slang, or else they wouldn't be able to communicate with them because that's what they know. Anyways, thank you for listening to my rant. Goodbye.